Heritage, thanks. In Washington, Sandra?
For more on all this, let's bring in Freedom Caucus member Andy Biggs of Arizona, who is on the Judiciary Committee. We thank you for your time this morning, sir. If you could react to Giuliani calling on Comey to be prosecuted in this series of interviews.
I agree with Mr. Giuliani. What Mr. Comey did was actually, it wasn't just outrageous, it was criminal. And it was an attempt to manipulate getting a special investigator and a special counsel going against the current president. That's how outrageous this is. And so Mr. Comey's out there, and he just said that it's just a trivial thing to be leaking confidential records in order to manipulate the entire system against the sitting president of the United States. I think that's actually felonious, in my opinion. Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so he needs to be prosecuted. And then he also didn't disclose that he was leaking information to his Columbia professor who was an employee of the FBI. That's ridiculous.
Right. So Giuliani is not mincing words when it comes to these interviews and talking about Comey. Here's how he addressed him and went as far as to point him out as being a liar. Listen.
I know James Comey. I know the president. Sorry, Jim, you're a liar. A disgraceful liar. Every FBI agent in America has his head down because of you.
Congressman, your response to that?
Yeah, I actually agree totally. Look, Mr. Comey has abused his power and his authority, and he's done it in a way that shows that he's a serial liar. I mean, he's out there saying things. He's writing memos. He's allowing investigations to go to harass American citizens for political reasons. I mean, he indicates that he's a man without integrity, and now he's out there on a circuit making money on a book that's just filled with lies. And so this is a real problem for the United States of America. It attacks the very system that we revere.
When it comes to the Mueller investigation, you have been very vocal, Congressman, that we need to end this witch hunt. And we heard Giuliani this morning calling on Jeff Sessions to call an end to this, saying enough is enough. Where does this go next?
Well, I've had a problem with the Mueller investigation from the start because I think he's got a serious conflict. But I think Jeff Sessions has really done no one in the United States a great service here. He needs to have Rod Rosenstein, who's supposed to be overseeing the Mueller investigation. He needs to terminate Mr. Rosenstein's employment, quite frankly. And Mr. Rosenstein needs to go. We need to get somebody in who was going to say to Mueller, you know, if we're not going to stop this investigation, at least we're going to get it back to the bounds that it was supposed to be within, which, by the way, they don't even want to tell us what that scope authority given to them by Rosenstein was. But we need to bring it back to the scope that all of the American people thought this was about, which was the Russian collusion, and not indicting people for crimes that are basically paper crimes from 10 years ago. This is a problem. Mueller needs to have his plug, his electric plug pulled, if I can put it that way. And if we're not going to pull the plug right now, we need to set the time limit and make it firm.
Well, I want to get Rod Rosenstein's reaction here because we have sound of him defending the DOJ and himself, quite frankly, in all of this. Listen to this.
The Department of Justice is not going to be extorted. We're going to do what's required by the rule of law, and any kind of threats that anybody makes are not going to affect the way we do our job.
And that was in response to the president saying it might be time for us to get involved. He tweeted this yesterday, a rigged system. They don't want to turn over documents to Congress. What are they afraid of? Why so much redacting? Why such unequal justice? At some point, I will have no choice but to use the powers granted to the presidency to get involved, Congressman.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is Rod Rosenstein. He's saying that when we ask for accountability, which is what Congress is asking for, give us the records, let us see what's going on here. When we're asking for accountability, he says that's extortion and that's threatening. That shows the temperament and the mood of Mr. Rosenstein as he's failed to oversee the special counsel, as he's failed to respond to our oversight, our constitutional authority and duty to oversee this executive agency, which looks like it's kind of gone rogue a little bit. And I just find it outrageous again. I mean, this whole thing is just driving everyone crazy as you watch this thing where Rosenstein's off the rails here, and Mr. Sessions, the Attorney General, has failed to bring Rosenstein under heel. So this is a problem. I understand exactly why the president's so concerned, and basically he's outraged by us as well.
Yeah, Congressman Andy Biggs from Arizona House Judiciary Committee. We thank you for your time this morning. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandra.